Hello, and welcome to Is It Better Than Class? Today, I am gonna be taking a look at Mindgame Trilogy, because you guys voted for it. Mindgame Trilogy is the sequel to Mindgame, and it has 3 short stories, and each of the short stories follow a different character from Mindgame. The first one follows the Centauran, the second one follows the Draconian, and the third one follows the human. And it's about what happened to them after Mindgame and how the events of Mindgame changed them. So the first one is Battlefield by Terrence Dix, and it follows the Centauran. So it starts off with the Centauran sort of being teleported away, and we sort of see him land in this battlefield, and he gets hit by a Rutan beam thing and gets injured, but he powers himself using some power thing in his pro big event, and he starts talking about the events of Mindgame, and he basically explains that all of this has changed his perspective on the world, but he's quite confused. He can't really understand why he's thinking all of this, um, and it's sort of he's he knows he's gonna die because he's been fatally wounded, so he isn't really afraid to say his opinion for the first time in his life, but he's sort of very confused because he's never fought like this before, and it's he finds it frustrating. So part of him is sort of enlightened, and part of him is very frustrated. And it sort of explores the mind of a Sontaran, which I think is actually a very interesting idea. I have to give Terrence Dick some credit here. This is a very interesting idea, and it's very nice to actually see some of the um, Centauran and Rutan battlefield for once, which we've never actually seen it on screen. So we've heard about it loads, but this is the first time we actually sort of see the battlefield. It's only there for a tiny bit. It's mainly him sort of sitting down and talking, and he basically just talks about the events of Mindgame and how they all work together to defeat the enemy, and how he finds that fascinating, but yet weird, because he's always been taught, of course, that the Sontarans are the superior beings, but yet they all work together to defeat this common enemy. And it's a very interesting idea to see how the Sontaran has been enlightened. I do really like Battlefield. I think it's actually very good. It's a very good little 15-minute story, which is a nice little sequel. We see the Sontaran, we get to know some stuff about his character, and what happened to him, who he is. I think it's quite good.
And for a time at least, a draconian and a human were my comrades in arms. Not all other species are our inferiors, our enemy.
Right, so the next short story is Prisoner 451 by Miles Richardson. And this one follows the Draconian. And quite early on, it becomes quite obvious that this is trying to do a Shakespearean thing. He's sort of randomly talking to his wall, to the wall in his prison cell about his emotions. The plot is that he's been put in prison because he's fallen in love with a book that a female has sent to him, a female human has sent to him, who I assume is Sophie Aldred's character from Mindgame. He chats a bit about stuff, complains a bit about the food and his cousin, and he's been sentenced to exile apparently. And at this point, it seems like it's doing a laughable Shakespearean thing until the very end, when you realize that he's actually reading the complete works of Shakespeare. Which, oh my god, that's a really clever idea.
Our revels now are ended.
And then for the final story in this thing, Scoutship by Roger Stevens. So this one follows the human, obviously, and she's stranded in space, and her ship is sort of slowly running out of oxygen and power, so her life support systems are shutting down, and she's basically doomed. But she decides to record herself because she might as well, and she sort of talks a bit to the camera about stuff.
Oh well, now I can suffocate in widescreen and surround sound.
And she sort of, explains about how she ended up here. And she was on a mission, and now she's there, and she thinks she may have teleported across space. Then suddenly she starts to act quite strangely, and laugh madly, and talk to the camera, and like pretend it's her mom.
Is that you?
It's all very strange, and then she starts crying after a bit, just because I suppose she's about to die, and that's what most people would probably do. So that's neat. Yeah, this one isn't really very good. I quite like the other two, but this one's really quite boring. And then after a bit, she kills herself because she's out of power. So there we are. That's it for Scoutship. This one isn't amazing. I thought the other two were definitely very good. This one, you know, it has the same problems most of these real time and BBV spin-offs do. It's the pacing's all over the place. It just, I think the dialogue-based stories worked quite well for the other ones, but for this one, it's just the I don't think the character of the human was really interesting enough. I mean, it was hinted at that she might be Ace, but you can't really do a story with only the human if you can't, reference her name, and you have to, credit her as pilot and then a lot of numbers. I mean, it's difficult. It's very difficult to do. So I don't think this one really works. Um, you know, maybe just invent a new character instead of sort of trying to make the pilot Ace, because no one really cares. It's not even confirmed if she is Ace or not. It's just up to your personal preference. But it's this sort of weird thing, unconfirmed thing, where I'm thinking, why don't you just make a new character? Doctor Who reuses actors and actresses all the time. No, I don't think this one's amazing. I think this one really has the normal problems that most of these BVV and real-time pictures do. Not awful though, it's watchable, I suppose, but this one just lacks purpose. So, is it better than Class? The Sontaran one is definitely better than Class. The Draconian one is definitely better than Class as well. And, well, so is the human one, but the human one's not the best, as you can probably tell. Overall, I actually really liked the first two. I thought the second one had an interesting twist, and there was an interesting idea, if anything. First one was just sort of quite enjoyable and quite good, considering it's low budget, PV, real time picture stuff. The last one was a bit laughable, a bit cringeworthy, not great, but better than Saigon when being you isn't enough, or K9. So I guess that's always nice.